And we're live.
Hello.
Hello, Internet. Are we friends yet?
Today, we'll find out.
Well,
And then ask again in
at the
2 weeks' time,
I
just to be sure. We're really insecure about our friendship status.
I thought you were gonna say ask at the end of the episode.
Hey, we might.
Hey, we might. I was gonna say something. I went completely blank.
What's new?
Many things, honestly. For one thing, I tested positive for the shall not be named, and so I feel fine. Just gonna get that out of the way, though. If I'm a bit loopy, I have taken a couple of meds, but I've had nearly nothing going on. So I just want to get that out of the way. We've had a couple of changes. I guess we should mention to our setups. I have put my beautiful Jolteon Zip Zap inside my arm, so he is constantly there.
I'm using a mouse now, and I have a little desk,
It's funny.
which is helpful.
The first episode, I remember like a month ago. Jeez. You had your laptop on your bed, right?
No, I was sitting on my bed, and I had the laptop, and was using the laptop webcam. No, I did have this webcam, but I had it plugged in, but it was still attached to the laptop. So every time I would type or do anything, it would wobble. But it was on
Yeah.
top of my dog's crate, which is just across from my bed. But now I have 2 tripods, a desk, and some hot chocolate.
Man, hot chocolate sounds good. Wait.
Tastes good.
Hey, I'm just gonna out my fiance real quickly. If you look behind my head, she has the podcast up on her second screen.
Hi.
So that means anytime I want, I can just lean over, and you can see us in the background.
Perfect.
Mucho perfecto.
Sorry, I'm gonna try to prepare a little bit and pull up the
Yeah.
articles now rather than being caught off guard. That way, my famous smooth transitions can be even better.
Speaking of smooth, I was hoping I had a transition.
My brain.
True. So okay, I'm just trying to think about what has happened between this week and last week. That's not technology, but personal that we can talk about, bring up. I have a couple of quick little work stories. One of my coworkers, he's amazing. I'm not gonna reveal his name on stream, but I will give him the super secret name of Q. And so Q is
Agent Q.
Agent Q. He's also that's also from Star Trek. Q. And so Q has a kid, and their school started back for the semester, and the kid's 6 or so, and so because our job works from 8 to 5, 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening, he has to leave his kid at after school care, and the kid's okay with it. He's okay with it. He just does it because the kid is 6. Whenever the kid gets older, he's gonna put him on the bus. But
Okay.
the day of they had Monday off for whatever reason, so the day of school returning, Tuesday, he gets a call. Q gets a call at 3:50. School's been out for 10 minutes, and school goes, "Hey, where are you? You haven't come to pick up your kid yet, Alex." And we're like, he's like, "What? Oh, he's supposed to be in after school care." No, we're not doing after school care. He didn't find out until the day of, and so he started looking into it, figuring out, because they said we sent out an email, we sent out a notification. The email was sent out the day of at 1-ish, which is
Great.
2 hour, and then B, 1, and then B, there was a push notification sent to their custom-made app that could only be viewed and was sent the notification if you open the app. It has no privileges to appear on the phone.
That's not how push notifications work.
No, and so he took that up with the superintendent, and he explained everything. The superintendent's like, "Well, it's not our fault. It's yours." And then
I'm sorry.
and then he's like, no, it's not. You guys should. And then he goes, well, it's actually the teacher's fault. The superintendent then starts pinning the blame on the teacher. And I'm like, this is a trashy
Wow.
superintendent.
A very trashy look.
Like, seriously. And so,
The job of a supervisor and boss is to A, make sure everything runs well, and B, when it doesn't, you take the blame. You
Yeah.
are responsible for the team.
seriously. And so it ticked him off. It, like, seriously. Because after school care was not returning that entire week. And because his ex-woman, the mother of Alex, the kid, she had the shall not be spoken virus. And so she could not pick up the kid, and her current fiance also had it, so he couldn't. And Q doesn't even want him to really do that sort of stuff. He doesn't trust him. And so it was just stupid and dumb that the superintendent was like that. And so the worst part is our boss, whenever he found out about this, and boss, he's usually pretty understanding. He said, oh, that's going to be an issue. I'm sending you down to Midland 2 hours away every day of the week. And granted, it was supposed to be 1 day, but that 1 day turned into 3 days because every time we were down there, it was cut short by several hours. Normally, we would leave at 8, get there at 10, and then we would leave about 3 to 4 and get back between 5 and 6. But since we had to be back before 3, we had to leave at 1. We get there at 10, we have 3 hours of work, and we were installing new cameras, a new home control system, and really putting up new cameras, taking down old ones, putting in a doorbell. We were doing a lot of work down there, and then we also had to fix some of their stuff, which some of it actually still needs to be fixed, but they went out of town, so we couldn't really. And so, but yeah, every single day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for the rest of the week, we had to go down to Midland and work on it, and then leave early to come back. And on top of that, our other coworker was on vacation. So it was just the two of us. The first day, we were like, okay, well, we have a lot to do. And so our boss is like, hey, yeah, don't you worry about it. I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to get the other crew, because he runs 2 businesses, but they're basically the same thing. We're, we're like Wal-Mart, and they're Wal-Mart B or whatever. And so they...
Sam's Club.
It was Sam's Clubs and Costco. But he owns both of them. You're welcome.
Walmart owns Sam's Club, right? That's why I said that.
Today I learned. I legit did not know that. Did you know Walmart is classified as a family business?
What does that mean?
That means everyone that officially
They sell
owns...
families there?
Yeah, they're all family. So, but yeah, so yeah, we also went to Home Depot while we were out there. And so we I just thought I would bring it up because Home Depot. But yeah, so the first day, he sends us all down there, including himself. We get down there, and I decide, hey, since I'm supposed to be getting off early because my boss doesn't trust me to work alone, I'm going to schedule a meeting with my advisor to get school paid off for this semester. Well, we get down there, and I didn't know everyone else was going. And so whenever we get down there, I'm talking to Q, and he's like, yeah, here's the plan. We're going to stay here. We're going to work. I'm going to leave, and then you're going to leave a couple hours later with her boss. And I'm like, my meeting is at 4, and I have to be home for it? And he goes, well, I guess you're coming with me. And so...
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother. And so we did as much as we could. We had to crawl into attics. We had to go through crawl spaces. We had to take down cameras. We had to cut a hole open in the wall.
I watched that show.
Yeah, hole in the wall. And so we had to do a lot. And then we leave, we get back, and the other crew and our boss stay there for an extra hour to try to finish all the hardware. So all we have to do the next day is go back in, program all the software. Well, we get in the next day, and we find out all they did, the extra hour they were there, is just talk to the homeowner. They didn't do anything. And listen.
Great.
Listen, I love my boss. He is amazing. He's great. He works with us. He's understanding, and the other guys, they're extremely helpful. But it ticked us off. Like, you were supposed to be down there doing work. They were doing work while we were still there. But we went up with the expectation that everything hardware-wise was done. No, I actually was talking to you on the phone that day. Do you remember that? Because you called me about something about the podcast, and so I was, and so it was that day, and so we go back and we have to pretty much rebuild half of the server rack because it was split into 2 parts, and so we have to rebuild half of the server rack, and then on top of that, we had to reroute wires in the attic to go to the chime, the ding dong for the doorbell, because we installed a smart doorbell for them, and so we did all that. But then the guy also, it's a bit weird. So the guy is 55 or so, and he plays the drums in his free time. And so what he does is he'll put music on. Go ahead, I see you leaned in.
Dankpods? Does he have an Australian accent and a snake named Frank?
If I say yes, does that make you happy?
It would.
Then yes.
Yay.
Yeah, in his free time, he just plays on the drums. He'll put music on, like, over the speakers, but then he can't hear it because of his drumming. So he asked us to put a headphone jack in the wall. That was probably the hardest part because he has Sonos amps, and for those who don't know Sonos, they're really nice amps. They have the ability to do radio, or you can Apple Play to it, or you can do Spotify, Pandora, and it has a Sonos app, and you can play it through the different zones in all the house. And so what we did is we created this custom zone that the only output was a headphone jack in the wall. And so it was right next to the drum set. He can plug it in, put it on, turn on that zone, and just be able to play. And so
That's kind of cool, but also you could just, like, plug headphones into your phone, couldn't you?
No, actually, he doesn't have a headphone jack on his phone.
Thanks, 2022.
Seriously. But no, he specifically wanted it because, like, his wife would be listening to the same music in the other room.
That is such an odd setup.
Well, I mean, they're using the Sonos amps over the house speakers, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wants it where anytime he can just plug in and be able to put on headphones, and where he's on, unplug, and they're still playing through the house speakers, instead of, like, having to turn off his phone or turn on his phone. And so,
all right, who am I to judge?
But yeah, I agree, it was an interesting request. We've never done anything like it before. But
Mm-hmm.
so how we did it is we ran an internet cable from one end to the other and just connected it into an aux cord on both sides. And it works. And it's interesting because our boss was supposed to do that. And he didn't. Which means my coworker...
So, this audio is running over an Ethernet cable?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's easier
It's
to...
just because that what you had?
That's what we run for any long runs. Because this was on the other side of the house. You want to find, like, a 50-foot aux cord? Go for it.
Not an aux cord, but, like, audio cabling. They do that. That's how you get fancy speaker setups. I don't know if they will run that long, though, honestly.
Well, that's the issue, though, is we had to use a Bayland, and Bayland on one end is an internet cord.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird setup, but we do it a lot for certain setups. Like if we need to run IR kits, like infrared, like for clickers. What are they called? Remote controls. I just forgot the word remote controls. Yes, I said
Called
clicker.
it a clicker. That's what gets me. Not forgetting the word.
Clicker. Yeah. Did you not ever hear
What
clicker?
are you, from the 50s?
Yeah. Hand me the clicker. The hopper. Did you ever watch that commercial for Dish? The hopper. Would you?
Oh.
Yeah. The hopper.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so like some clickers, they use IR, and so we have to send that IR signal to our server rack on the other side. So we'll take an IR extender kit, cut it in half, splice half of it into an Ethernet cord, Ethernet as I like to say because it's too close to my name, and then splice the other side into the other end, and then just plug it in. So literally what we're doing is we're using it as copper. We're using the copper inside.
I figured, yeah.
But yeah, and so going back to the headphones, this is what our boss was supposed to do. So Q had to crawl up into the attic and got stuck.
Oh no.
Because he had to crawl over some air ducts, and on one side it was lifted where he could get there and kind of slither through, but then on the other side, it was pretty hard to get out of. He actually had to get back there to see if we could do it originally, and he lost his like pin and his flashlight while he was up there. Well, he was up there this last time, and while he was up there, I heard him scream, and I think, oh no, something happened to him. I sprint up the attic stairs, and I say, are you okay? What happened? He goes, I found my flashlight.
And he was just excited, or what?
He was very excited that he found his flashlight and his missing pin. And so, but yeah,
Fair enough.
So we managed to get all that done, and then we had to leave, and then we were supposed to go back the next day, but I ordered a bad burger and got food poisoning. So he had to go up by
Fun fact, Ethan is always sick.
I really am. I seriously, like, my immune system hates me.
Is this like a new thing, or has this been ongoing that you're just always sick?
It's ongoing.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
Whether mentally or physically, I'm sick.
Because I was sick a lot last year, but that was a new thing for me. I was just curious.
Especially if I have a skateboard. Then I'm super sick. Sick! But yeah, so luckily for Q, that day it was just programming. It was software stuff, so he literally sat down with computers and, programmed. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the interesting, and that was not last week, but the week before. And then, should I tell? I'm actually not gonna tell that story, just because it has a lot of personal information, so I'm not gonna share it.
Okay.
I forgot to share it with you though, and I thought you would have found it funny. But yeah, I can tell you, anytime I'm programming like on those computers and I'm making those sound effects, I'm pretending to be a hacker in the Matrix.
Hacker voice. I'm in.
I'm in. If you guys ever want to feel like a hacker,
I work with terminals all day. Whether I'm programming or I'm like changing the configuration of network equipment, I'm in terminals all day.
Yeah.
I am hacker man.
In middle school, I figured out how to open up command prompt on like the laptop or the computers.
Hacker boy.
And so the only command I knew was ping. And so I would just ping random numbers. Like, I had no concept of IP addresses or like, I could ping websites. I would just ping number, dot, number. And so it would always, like, sometimes it would turn, sometimes it wouldn't. I didn't know what they mean. But one time I was just...
beautiful budding baby network programmer. Network engineer.
And so one time I was doing... Oh, also I changed the color, because you can change the color of your terminal. So I would always do that. I would make it, the default green on black and make it look Yeah, and so I was doing that. And I was just like pinging random numbers. Someone, like, I don't remember who exactly it was. It was one of the girls in my class. She comes over and she sees what I'm doing and then raises her hand and goes, "Teacher, Ethan's hacking into the IRS."
into the IRS specifically.
I don't
Why
know.
At school?
I don't know why she said the IRS. But the teacher comes over and to this day, I love this teacher. And she looks and she just looks at me and goes, "Are you just on command prompt?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I go, "No." And she goes, "Do you want to?" And I go, "Yeah." And so from that time, she took me under her wing. All through high school, I did robotics with her. She taught me programming. She was my mother at school.
That is not how I was expecting that to go.
No,
I love
seriously.
that.
Yeah,
I love that.
There was a point in time where my relationship with my mother was very, very rough. And nowadays, I love my mother. I love her. I care about her. I regret a lot of the things I did to her and said to her. But that woman talked so much sense into me. Sometimes
you need to hear it from someone else.
Very, very true. And so hearing it from her really, really helped. And so I will just say, on the very off chance that Mrs. Little ever hears this, thank you so much for everything you did. I appreciate it. You were an amazing school mother for me. And so you are the one who... Fun fact, I almost went to school in Norway. I brought this up. I almost went to college in Norway. I haven't told anyone else. I was accepted at the school. Like, I sent in an application. I'm like, yeah, we'd like to have you. You're just going to have to, like, figure out a way to get over here. But yeah, and so
That's one heck of a barrier, though.
yeah, I definitely.
You have to worry about housing too.
Yeah.
So you weren't going, basically.
I think I could have lived on campus. I don't remember all the fine details. This was my junior year in high school. But
that's a lot to figure out at junior year.
Yeah,
figure out. Let's learn how to live in a different country.
Yeah. I at the time I was learning Norwegian because of one of my friends, May. Shout out to May. She's an amazing artist. That's that. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, and so I learned some Norwegian. I actually still know a little bit. Jeg snakker norsk. Du et barn.
Oui, oui.
Hon baguette.
Très bien.
Krankenwagen. That's German. Also, the German word for butterfly is Schmetterling, in case you ever wondered. But yeah, so...
Not the word I thought you were going to share. Anyway.
Schmetterling. Were you thinking of the stupid joke I said earlier this week?
Yep, continue.
Okay. But yeah, so she, like, a combination of her and my... she was my girlfriend. There's no way around it. She was my girlfriend. We never officiated it, but we did everything together. We went on dates. She was not, however, my first kiss. My first kiss is sitting behind me. And so, but yeah, I went from going to school in Norway to almost going to school in Oklahoma. And so I actually had a scholarship accepted there too. That would have paid off about 50% of my whole scholarship. But sitting down and talking with her, my amazing, she was then the guidance counselor as well. And so it was kind of her job, but she still did it because...
Who was?
Mrs. Little, the teacher.
So not your girlfriend. Okay, just wanted to be sure about that.
No.
We love the pronoun game.
Yeah. And so, yeah. So she sat down and she talked with me, and finally she helped me determine that instead I should just go to school in town. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I mentioned, hey, I should go to college A, and she goes, she's working on her Mac, and she hears me say this, like, I'm just going to go to this college because, I need to go to college. And she looks at me, closes her laptop, points at me and says, no, you are too smart for that. Instead, try this college. And I'm like, well, thank you. And so I reached out to the counselor, started going to LCU. Frick, I just name dropped. I met Abby. And then the funny thing is, I'm actually going to that college now that she said I was too smart to. The issue, I want to clarify something. If you think you are too smart or too stupid for a college, that's not the issue. Every college is going to be different. Yes. Some colleges are better than others. Yes. But the issue is not going to be you. For example, the reason I'm going to this college now is because it's flexible with me. It lets me work online, which, funnily enough, has the same acronym as the college that Ben is going to.
That is correct.
And so we thought that was a really funny coincidence.
So we go to the same college.
We go to the same college. We don't actually, but
no.
But yeah, all my classes are online.
If I were to say anything about that, is that yes, and colleges are different, and some are better than others. But just because it offers a better X program or has these benefits doesn't mean it is objectively better. It is better for you.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you have a law degree from Harvard or from another college that
MIT
does law or something like that, it in certain fields, like maybe for lawyers it matters a bit, but for the most part, if you have a degree, you have the degree. And when what's more important practically is the degree, because that's what employers are going to look at. But what's more important, more at the core, I think, is you're going to get out what you put into it.
Yeah.
And that is up until a certain point. Like if your college is absolute garbage, you can keep putting in and you won't get stuff out. But I don't think that's very likely.
I don't
like if you are,
sorry.
Especially since putting into it also means putting into your education in general. So if your college is not good enough, if you're too smart for it, then that's just an indication that you need to start looking for other places to learn. So whether that's whether that's from your job or other resources or just exploring things in your own curiosity online, that sort of thing. Like I'm going to college, but also I work in this field, and also I have side projects that I'm actively seeking out for myself to learn and become more well-rounded and more educated and more knowledgeable about
It
all the things that I'm interested in.
I mean, I'm in that same boat. I went to college for technically 3 years. I say technically because the last year was during the Great Quarantine, and so I didn't entirely go. I had mental issues. I had monetary issues, and I pretty much screwed up that entire year. I'm accepting that, but I worked for pretty much all of those years. I worked on campus as IT support. I learned more from that job than I actually did from some of my classes. And now with this current job I'm working in, I've learned so much from this job about networking and home systems.
That's me.
And yeah,
I'm a network.
And so it also has helped me learn I don't want to do networking.
Sad.
I mean, we're not the exact same, sir. But yeah, like it's the same thing though.
Cisco everything. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. Continue.
No, I don't know Cisco nothing. Sorry, I had to. But yeah, I do the same thing. I have programs. I've programs. I have projects at home that I work on, such as Arduino. Speaking of
I'll be
Arduino,
right back.
he's
My setup is a pain to get around. Okay, I got it.
So I don't know where he's going, but I can keep on talking. But yeah, like the great thing is having those friends who can pick you up. I don't know why he's walking around with a box. But
do you know what this is, Ethan?
It's a box.
It's a caliper. Woo! But it is also all the other stuff for one of my side projects. Let's see how well I can show that, which is not at all.
Is this? Can I ask?
Yeah, I can't.
I
can't show it very well, but I've got bits and bobs galore. I did put this one on. It's up there. That's right.
Is it? I don't want to reveal your project because I don't know if you want it to revealed, but is it?
That's fine. I'm making a key light. So like, if you just look up Elgato key light, that's a good example of just it's a light for streaming and photography and that sort of thing. I'm making one from scratch.
But
thank you, Adafruit.
I also just want to say, kind of going into it, having those friends to help you and pick you up whenever you're working on that sort of stuff. Main example, myself, Ben, our friend that we've mentioned a couple of times, Brent, and then our master, David.
Sensei.
Sensei. We all we help out each other. Brent, he has created a website program, if I remember, that he can control a Minecraft modded turtle. And not like a turtle, like an animal, like
if you're familiar with Computercraft.
It's a Computercraft mod, and it's something called a turtle. It's like a Roomba kind of thing. And so he's created a GUI, a web GUI, that can control it, as he doesn't even have to be on the server. And so that's the sort of stuff that we like to do. We like to support each other. You stop, sir.
I haven't played with these yet.
Oh no. But like David especially. David is so caring and supportive about everything.
No, keep going.
Okay. Yeah. But David is just so caring and support. You know what? This is the David appreciation time.
Yeah, regularly scheduled.
Regularly scheduled. David, he's extremely smart. He's kind. He's caring. This man.
He looks all right. I mean,
he actually is pretty good looking too.
Aside from the dent in his chest, anyway.
I wouldn't know about that. But yeah, he recently got a school opportunity to work and study abroad, studying and working with brains. And this came from one of the higher ups at the college. It's super impressive, and I just if any of you guys know David or know who we're talking about, send him a congratulations. Tell him he's doing great work, because he is. He's doing amazing work. Anyway, Ben has a very mischievous grin.
Look at that. In this, you can't hear it.
We can't hear it.
How about now?
We could cut. There it is.
You've got a nice click, and then when
does.
you rotate, I'm happy. This is gonna be depending on me, this is gonna be a great project. I'm so excited.
We are gonna request updates. Don't worry, everyone. We're gonna be getting updates.
Oh, of course. Anyway,
any Hoosers.
You have anything else to mention before we get on to? I have something else to mention. It should be really quick. I had a hacker log onto my Minecraft server.
I'm sorry, what? I have not heard about this.
Let me see if I can pull up the name again. Yes, so I don't have like a whitelist or anything on my Minecraft server, because
Kind of a bad idea, but
I also don't have a geoblock because I don't have any tools that I know of right now to do that.
Ask David.
It would be easy. I'm sure it would be easy to get. I'm considering setting up a load balancer, a proxy, or that sort of thing, just to also act as a sort of firewall and like an upper level management of network traffic in general.
Can I ask a clarification?
No, what?
So you said someone joined your, like, as in they hacked into it, or they joined and they had hacks?
Well,
okay.
So they were on for 5 seconds. They logged in from a French IP.
Hold on.
And I can't remember exactly. Oh, well, I have the screenshot. No. Don't worry, I'll figure it out.
Do you not have the screenshot?
Yep, they logged in at 5:09 p.m. on some day. Minecraft's console does not show the day of the entry, which is very annoying.
It is.
But anyway, it says just in chat, Vermont Sleep, reference class name, foo. And then lost connection, disconnected. When I sent that to David, this is weird. He responded with a Reddit thread from r/admincraft of the same user signed on and ran something using the log4j vulnerability, and it broke their computer. Something about following the script in chat, the server logs were spammed with netty server IO number 0/error FML network dispatcher exception.
Huh.
I haven't noticed anything weird, except it does make a weird sound sometimes, but I think that's just it has a crappy GPU in it.
As always.
But yes, so somebody, a known user, if you run a Minecraft server, blacklist Vermont Sleep.
Or if
I'm
it's
sure you
just,
can Google it.
If it's just for friends, whitelist.
Yeah, that's always an option.
Whitelist.
Yeah,
it's annoying and it's a hassle. I'm gonna keep on cutting you off.
That's fine.
It's annoying and it's a hassle, but in the end it makes it worth it. You were saying
if it's a private server and if it's your equipment that you're running it on, yeah.
Yeah, for a while I had a server I ran for the Chaos Crew Discord, which, hey, if we're wanting to join that, the link can be found pretty much anywhere. But yeah, the laptop actually ran like right behind me where my Lego TIE Fighter is now. It was running all the time, and for a while, I had to. I just like had it since it was on my computer. I had my IP, and I would just send people IP. But eventually, I actually had to whitelist it. But we for now, like. It was a bit weird because it started out as a realm, and realms can only join if you're invited. Then it became a server that I run from my computer, and I actually just whitelisted it. And then people can only join if they're on the whitelist. Right now it's down because no one was really using it, and we're kind of waiting on like some updates. And I think we're gonna have like a proper server up and running eventually that I don't have to host from my computer, so that means it's gonna be less laggy, but. It's still, like, whitelist your stuff if it's just a private server or a small server with friends.
Another thing that I think saved me in a sense. Unless they did something that I haven't found out about yet. We'll see. Um,
Oh no.
is that this server is running on Arch Linux, which is far less targeted than Windows because it takes up a far less percentage of the market. So I don't know what what the user was trying to do, but it appears to have done nothing, and I do attribute that to first that it's a vanilla server, so just there's less complexity to begin with, so there's less chance for an exploit. Is in the Reddit thread, they definitely had Forge Mod Loader for something because that was in the logs. So this is a vanilla server, and it's running on Linux because this is the year of Linux on this. No, it's not, but I love it.
Linux, I mean, I actually do need to learn Linux, but I am lazy. I just accidentally minimized everything. Oh gosh, hold on. Very sorry if that caused a bug.
Professional.
Okay.
Anyone need tech support? Reach out to Ethan. I hear he's good.
Yeah, have you tried deleting System 32? Speaking of production and percentages of markets, I'm going to start slipping into some tech news here.
Just slide right in.
I tried to make it as smooth as possible, sir.
Smooth like Skippy.
Skippy's peanut butter, right?
Yes.
The only peanut butter I know of is Jif. But yeah, so I was reading an article that was posted Thursday of this previous week, like 4 days ago. And so this is the first tech news article I want to bring up, and it's tech news related to console gaming. The article is titled "The Xbox One is Officially Dead." So, like I said, this was posted last Thursday, 4 days ago. That would have been like the 12th of January, 2022. Xbox One S was stopped production in 2020. 2 years ago.
Wow.
2 years ago, they've stopped production, and yet they're still in circulation. And so I read through it, and it reminded me of how the Xbox One, the original, was originally advertised. It's supposed to be an all-in-one. You're supposed to have TV from it, internet from it, and it's supposed to be more than a gaming console. But honestly, like 90% of people use it as gaming console.
Can I insert a note?
Go ahead.
I don't remember the source for this, but the Microsoft like PR team or whatever named it. Part of the reason they named it the Xbox One is because they were hoping gamers would call it the One for short, and everyone just called it Xbone instead.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember Xbone because I called it the Xbone too. But yeah, everyone is sitting here saying the Xbox One sucked. The Xbox One was terrible. As a console,
Was it?
the original one was pretty bad. The S and the X.
I'm not a console guy, so I don't follow.
I am, but I'm falling off. But
You falling and you can't get up?
help! I've fallen and I can't get up. The original Xbox One. Oh, hey, great. Hold on. I just now realized we're having some tech issues.
Oh.
Yeah, your camera is not wanting to move.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not good. What the heck? Give us 1 second to troubleshoot here. We're gonna be right back. Hey, so apparently all we had to do is switch scenes, and now it works. I think.
Oh.
I think
maybe. No, because it was grabbing your stream from Discord, right?
Yeah, and so it was something going on with the window being captured. It happened. It happened whenever I accidentally minimized everything. So my apologies.
Oh, that's been a bit.
Yeah, my apologies, but luckily we still had your audio. Yeah. So going back to it, everyone was saying the Xbox One was terrible. The very first one actually was. It had a hard time running anything. The One S and the One X, however, they were better. They had, I believe they had the ability for 4K. They were great, but no one used it beyond video games. And so they pretty much did away with that, and so now they're just doing the Xbox Series X and the Series S. And so the sales are actually up for the Series X and S. They run smooth, and so for those who don't know, if I remember correctly, the X has a disk drive, the S does not.
I was just about to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, and so they're the
Is
same.
that the only difference?
There are probably some other differences, like amount of storage.
I assume the one without has more storage.
I believe so. But don't quote me on that. I haven't done enough research on the Xbox fridge. But here's an interesting thing: people are still selling the Xbox One X, and it's more expensive than an Xbox Series S. Yeah, I'm learning new process.
I'm glad marketing is always great at naming things.
Seriously. So the X, which is older,
Especially Sony, am I right?
Sony does a good job. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The PlayStations. I'm
talking about their audio equipment, like the WXH-4. I don't know.
Hey, those
they're
are
great
my
headphones.
Those are the headphones I'm using right now. Actually, I'm using Sony headphones, and I think you just said my model.
I doubt it. These are the nice. These are like the standard for noise canceling stuff. They have a very distinct look.
It was actually very close. I have the model XB9.
Yeah, Sony's naming for anything other than PlayStation is awful, but they make good stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, their phones have a reasonable naming scheme, and also are very good if expensive. But that's because they have nice cameras.
Yeah.
And nice camera software.
I have not messed with a Sony phone. I've been on a Samsung Galaxy. But going back to this article for just a little bit more. The Xbox Series S has actually outsold any other gaming console for 2021's Black Friday sales. That includes the new Nintendo Switch OLED model. And then the last thing this article mentions, which here's a little fun fact since we talked about the Xbox and we also mentioned the Nintendo OLED, the PlayStation. So PlayStation 5 especially has been under attack by scalpers, skimmers, however you want to call them. Don't do that, by the way. It's trashy. Don't do it. So how does
You're
Sony...
talking to me for a second about like the face I made, and I'm like, what did I do?
No, I'm talking about the people who scalp. GPUs, PlayStations, whatever it is. Don't do it. I've heard people scalping
I paid
fridges.
$650 for an AMD 6600 graphics card.
Fridges.
If anybody wants a GTX 1070, by the way, hit me up. I'm selling it.
Yeah, we'll post the link in the YouTube.
No, if you want to reach out to me, please do. We can arrange it without eBay, so I don't need to pay commission costs.
Or we can always just, if you can join the Discord, message him there. You can look for Bean. Anyway, so Sony has decided to try and combat the scalpers for the PlayStation 5 by upping their production of the PlayStation 4.
I did hear about that. That's older news, isn't it?
It's a little...
No, that's right. Because I didn't see it in WAN Show. I saw it in Tech Linked from like Wednesday, probably.
It's kind of newer. It's just... I thought it was funny to mention.
Oh, it's still worth mentioning. It is kind of funny.
Well, yeah, Sony's like, oh, hey, this product is going down because like people are buying it. Produce more of the other thing.
I mean, it makes enough sense actually, because people will more or less get what they can.
Yeah,
but it is funny.
it's pretty funny to do that. I've kind of looked at getting PlayStation 5, but I'll be honest, I didn't buy a PlayStation 4 until the 5 came out. Because I didn't
buy a PlayStation 4.
I got mine for cheap.
Or any other one.
My first console ever was the PlayStation 2, so.
Mine was a Nintendo DS, I think.
That only picked up 2 snaps. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of in the marketing, or like the Xbox stuff. I do just kind of want to talk a little bit more about the console. I'm actually kind of looking at getting a Series S on the Xbox because I still have my Xbone One. the One X. And so they're the same and yet different consoles. It's a bit weird for Xbox, but PlayStation 4 and 5 distinction is a lot more.
PlayStation 5 controllers are cool, although I hear they're breaking.
They're super cool. I mean, Switch controllers are kind of cool and they're breaking.
I don't have any problem on mine yet.
They'll last like 5 months, if that. But yeah, it's just I would love to, but money and getting married, and I think I'm gonna try to get one whenever Abby and I have our own house, and I'm gonna try to save up some money for it because
For a 5?
For an Xbox Series S.
Okay.
Because, and this is gonna sound dumb, I have tons of Xbox controllers, but I only have one PlayStation controller, and all of my multiplayer games are on the Xbox. And so if I want to play a game with Abby, like normally we'll just play computer first, but if we want to do like a split screen game, it's a lot easier to do it on my Xbox compared to my PlayStation. Now granted, there are some games I want to play on PlayStation. The new Spider-Man, I want to check that out. The new Last of Us, I want to check that out. The new God of War, I want to check that out. But no, the old one is being released to computer. The new one is going to be on a PlayStation exclusive first, and then is going to be brought over.
Those of you watching, can you tell I'm a true gamer by the fact that I don't know what those games are?
They're all amazing.
I mean, I've heard of them, but
yeah.
I mean, I have no interest.
I can tell you they're amazing single-player games with great stories and amazing gameplay. But
man, that's better than my Tinder profile.
We're changing subjects now. We're changing subjects now. All right.
He's too slow. It's my article time. All right. So, this one is pretty funny. I like this one. So, good news, but it's also more interesting than it seems. So, reported by the BBC, the largest Darknet stolen credit card site closes.
Oh.
So, but the reasoning for this is it's actually a voluntary retirement from the people who ran it. Pull this up here so I can read and also be heard. It ended up that the runners of this site, called Unicc, they're voluntarily retiring, basically with the mindset of they gave a not a press release, but they posted on the site. Let me see if I can find the quote here. Posted on the Darknet forums in both Russian and English, saying, "Our team retires." The anonymous criminals added, "We are not young and our health do not allow us to work like this any longer." And apparently, this sort of thing of a large Darknet illegal thingamadoo, the team of it voluntarily retiring has been a growing trend, which of course has very mixed feelings for most people, but especially law offices, because on one hand, yeah, there's less of the bad thing now, but also they're not being held accountable, and it's going to be even harder to trace, of course, once they're shut down. In fact, there's a cool chart that is showing that, from the article, historically, when Darknet sites close down, operators disappear with customers' or vendors' money. This is known as exit scam. They may also be hacked or busted by police and taken offline. The largest reason for Darknet markets to close is exit scams, but just after that, it's a good difference, but not a ton, is voluntary retirement. And a lot of the mindset for that is more or less the market gracefully exit and say, we've made enough money, and before we get caught, we're just going to retire and go into the sunset.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was good news that it's shutting down, even though, as I'm sure everyone is aware, there's just going to be another one that pops up and takes its place. But I thought that was a really interesting article that I just never thought of that sort of perspective before, of these criminals who run this giant enterprise and are making boatloads of money are just saying, all right, that's enough, and retire.
I'm retiring. It's like a mob boss, just like, okay, I'm done.
And because we are not young, like they're too old, and their health is getting in the way of running their big mob business. Which
It's
I don't
like
know.
it's like
Is it just me that finds that kind of funny and weird?
it's like halfway through the Godfather movie. The Godfather just says, "Okay, I'm done. I had like a heart palpitation." So, there's
Mhm.
actually a really interesting YouTube video on YouTube. No comments. Um, it's called "The Dark Side of the Silk Road," I believe, and it's by,
Okay.
I want to say their name is either Nexpo or Barely Sociable. It's one of those two YouTubers, and it's about the Silk Road was a dark web website that sold tons of drugs and
Mhm.
illegal, like, human parts and other.
That's a cool name, though. You gotta give it to him.
Yeah, and so it's smart, it's clever, and so the whole video talks about what it is, how it was started, and how the FBI were able to bust it. But then it also talks about how it left a power gap that was filled in, and that's like
Oh yeah.
it like that's like what most of the dark web is in the end, is, terrible things, illegal selling, because they don't want to be traced. And so, like, there, some of the things that were sold on the Silk Road were professional assassinations on people.
Mhm.
And so it's a terrible thing. And those, whenever they go away, they're gonna be filled in by someone else or someone's else. But here's a funny one that happened. Someone on the dark web created Squid Coin whenever Squid Game became popular.
Oh, I heard about that.
The,
That wasn't.
I,
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, but still sad. Tons of people invested tons of money into it, and the creator of Squid Game made off with billions of dollars and left everyone else with nothing. And
I
everyone
think you
was,
said maybe I misheard. I think you said Squid Game, the creator of Squid Coin.
yes, sorry, the creator of Squid Coin, not the creator of Squid Game.
Yeah, remember the exit scam I just mentioned?
That's what that was. And so
Yep.
it's sad that people do that, but everyone on Twitter was like, haha, you lost tons of money. It's just like real life Squid Game, because one person walks away with all the money. And these other people are like, I invested everything, and now
It
I have
is.
nothing.
It is a little genius. What I mean, Dogecoin. That's also a novelty sort of. Like you name it a novelty, and then it gets popular because of that. But it is also at least somewhat legitimate at this point. It's
People use it.
comparable to Bitcoin. It's not quite as much prestige or whatnot, but it is comparable. But I do think it is. I think it's a smart idea to name a coin a cryptocurrency after something that's just super popular and make the money off of that. Like it's obviously it's horrible,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't at all endorse it, but
If
not a bad idea.
if
Just
it's like
taking advantage of dumb people who put it in the market, put money into their fads, into social fads.
NFTs. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna touch on that subject, because that's all that deserves. Talking about cryptocurrencies
And
though,
I should clarify: the people who invested it aren't necessarily dumb. It was absolutely a dumb thing to do, but the
it's
people
a
who did it
lottery
aren't
game.
necessarily dumb, but likely either dumb or misinformed, and
It's a
just don't know
lottery.
what crypto is and what it means. And frankly, it doesn't mean much of anything. But
I mean, technically
I
speaking,
think there should definitely be anyone who wants to get into crypto should really understand how it works. And if you do, you probably won't invest because it's dumb.
um,
Not financial advice.
r slash not financial advice. Um, I was actually gonna say, here's a random fun fact. We don't know who created Bitcoin.
Mhm.
We have the guy's quote unquote name, but it's not a real name. And so tons of research has been done. No one, to this day, no one knows who created Bitcoin. There have been theories, people have come out and said, but then it's disproven. But
I was going to say, surely people have claimed to have done
yes,
it.
people have claimed, there was even one guy who claimed he did it, but then claimed that he was lying, and then claimed he was lying about lying. And then after doing some research, he didn't even know how Bitcoin worked or what cryptocurrencies were. And so, but yeah, it's actually really interesting to know that we don't know. But yeah, I would agree with Ben. If you're gonna do a cryptocurrency, don't go with like a brand new one. I will say that.
If the reason you're buying anything is because you've heard about it a lot and it's popular, that's a bad reason.
NFTs.
Flat out.
NFTs. All right, that's all that
NFTs, crypto.
NFTs again. I hate NFTs. But
Metaverse.
Well, hey, speaking of Metaverse.
Yes, speaking of Metaverse, you will unofficially and definitely not definitely soon be able to visit Walmart in the Metaverse. That is a lot of assumptions. But Walmart has filed some patents that very much indicate that they are interested in dealing in the Metaverse. So from The Verge, the company's recent trademark filings indicate plans for NFTs and cryptocurrencies. I know your favorite are NFTs, Ethan.
I will ban you from this chat.
But yes, recent trademark applications indicate the company is looking to establish its own NFTs and its own cryptocurrency, according to a report from CNBC. Retail giant filed for several trademarks on December 30th, suggesting plans to selling... Buckle down. Suggesting plans to start selling virtual goods, including electronics, toys, appliances, sporting equipment, apparel, home decor, and more. There's mention of offering customers a digital currency as well as the opportunity to buy and sell NFTs. Meanwhile, another application details possible physical fitness training services in AR and VR. The other interesting thing to note from the article, double buckle in, Walmart also filed trademarks for the names Verse to Home, Verse to Curb, and Verse to Store. A hint that Walmart may be preparing a virtual shopping experience. Granted, their PR said more or less that they're always looking into opportunities of how to enhance customer, PR BS. Non-committal PR BS. But, yep, they might be they're definitely looking into the option of participating in the Metaverse, everyone's favorite 2022 buzzword, which is utter bollocks.
I hate that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's not like people don't already spend way too much money on virtual goods. I mean, that's EA's entire business model. But
hey, remember to insult in EA anymore. We have to purchase it. The DLC.
No, I just pirated it. EA banned my brother one time. He wrote a bot to... This is a fun story. I don't think you know this one, Ethan.
I don't.
He wrote a bot to... He's a computer science major. But this was before he was going to college, even. He wrote a bot to trade players and whatnot in the online market. And one day he signed into FIFA 12 or whatever on our Xbox. And it didn't flat out say he was banned, but he was banned. Then his next username was EA banned me. But yeah, so he basically wrote like a stocks trading AI sort of thing
for FIFA
in high school for FIFA. Yep. And got caught.
I think that man has peaked.
I could say more, but I won't.
Due to legality, we're gonna have to cut this part out of the podcast.
I'll tell you after, though.
That sounds good. The post show. Hey.
Yes.
If you guys want to participate in the post show, you have to join the Discord. We'll hang out in there.
Yeah, actually, you also have to download the DLC. It's an extra $5.
You can send the $5 directly to me. I have a PayPal
or to Team C's.
It also I would also accept Team C's. But yeah, Skyhaler2 at paypal.com. That's not even.
Oh, you work at PayPal? Are you Elon Musk?
Wait. Mars coin. Speaking of Elon Musk and space, um,
God, what a great transition. Pat
I
on the
know.
back.
So I was
We are
doing.
nailing it today.
We really are. Speaking of
And the
nails,
more we talk about how good our transitions are, the better they get.
speaking of butter, this podcast is brought to
I'm
you
gonna go
by
make some toast and
butter.
make some butter.
Butter. Hey, fun fact, Ben, do you know what happened on December 19th of 1972? It's space
I can't
related.
count that high, no.
Ne-
What was that?
neither can Windows email service. Um. Anyway,
Okay.
December 19th of 1972 is whenever Apollo 17 splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. That was the last time people traveled beyond low Earth orbit. Until soon.
I don't think that's. Oh no, the ISS is in Earth's orbit, isn't it?
It is. It's low Earth orbit. There's actually an animation. I don't have a good example. Here I'll use this guy. So if this head is Earth, right? The ISS
right.
orbits about here. Barely above the surface in perspective.
I mean, the line between space and Earth is completely arbitrary. There's no objective way to tell. We just set it as I want to say it's 1,000 kilometers above sea level, which is known as the Kármán line. Fun fact.
Sure.
Anyway,
I actually don't know off the bottom of my heart what the distance is. But NASA has announced they're going to start heading back to the moon. And this time, instead of just getting to the moon, they're going to be setting up Moonbase Alpha.
no, are you serious?
And in fact, the first launch is going to be in March of 2022, which, fun fact, is when my birthday occurs.
Are you serious? That's so cool.
Do you want to know what the name of the missions are going to be? They're going to be called the Artemis missions.
Ethan, this is made for you.
This is made for me. My cat is named Artemis, and she's actually sitting right behind me. For those who are watching the visual, she's right there
on the desk. That's new.
I know, right? But yeah, the Artemis missions are supposed to be going to the moon, and the first
And establishing a base.
And Artemis 1 is launching sometime in March 2022. I don't have an exact date. It's probably somewhere online, but it will have no people.
Mm-hmm.
It will, however, will be going to the moon and coming back and dropping off a Orion spacecraft, which that's like I'm probably getting some things wrong, but basically what that's supposed to do in the end is going to be a crew module for people to live in while on the moon. If I remember, it's going to be on a low moon orbit around the moon, but it's going to be used as a relay point. That's the second time I've done this. But the issue we kind of ran into is the Orion spacecraft that's going to hold everything has a hard time handling the stress of the launch. There have been times... Me too. But there have been times when the launch actually causes the telescope just to fall apart, or not the telescope, the shuttle to fall apart. Usually without people in it, or it would be too hot. And so, if this goes well, though, Punch the microphone. That is number 1 for the podcast.
I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking, wow, he hasn't punched his.
That's the real reason Jolteon's up here.
I cannot believe that. Anyway,
it's going to be breaking a record. The record, if Artemis, that's what I was about to say. If Artemis,
I hope it's not Billy Joel.
For the longest time, you're welcome. So this record is the furthest human-capable spacecraft that has left Earth. So that's like the
human-capable, meaning it can transport human?
It can transport humans. Not that it does, but it can.
Okay, and this is on the first launch?
This would be Artemis 1. And so, now let me ask you, Mr. Ben.
Oh, no.
What do you think the first spacecraft, well, the current record holder is?
I have no idea. I don't know space.
Apollo 13.
Okay.
And so Apollo 13, which, was forced to abort the moon landing after an explosion, this one will be having a maximum distance of Earth of about 430,000 kilometers. And so the voyage is said to last several days. Artemis 1 will swoop down to just 100 kilometers off the lunar surface, and then orbit around the moon. So the Orion...
Just that high off the surface?
100 kilometers, yeah.
Okay.
Which is that's not much.
I know, that's why I was surprised. I mean, it is much smaller than Earth, but
yeah.
I wonder how that does compare proportionally to the radius of Earth versus what I'm saying?
I can get some of those facts in the post, Joe, 100%. But just those people who know, if you're sitting in that spacecraft and you hold your thumb out at arm's length, you can see your thumb, that can cover Earth. That's how far away Earth is, and that's an amazing thing. But so what the Artemis 1 is mainly to be doing is to test Orion systems, such as the ability to retain air pressure and radiation levels. It's supposed to be seeing if it's going to be viable for the future, and it's going to extend solar panels to see if it can run off of the solar power. And after 6 days, it will test engine firing and a couple of other things like that. But if everything goes well, Orion will detach and come back and land back on Earth, to which later Artemis 2 will load up and take astronauts. Which, that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
If it works, there are theories that Artemis 2 could launch late 2022 to early 2023. That means, hopefully if things go well, in a year's time, there will be people on the moon. Or around the moon. How cool is that? We're starting to get back into the Kennedy age.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can promise you, if that goes well and is successful, I'm going to be partying.
I know.
I would probably
Ethan.
stream it. Space, I love space. I love talking about it and like hearing the things that are being done. And so if this works out, the first thing I'm going to do is message you. Hey, it's going on. Hey,
okay.
Hey, it just took off. Hey, it just left the atmosphere. Hey, it's heading to the moon. Hey, it's orbiting the moon. Hey, it's orbiting the moon. Hey, it's orbiting the moon. Hey, it's coming back. Hey, it landed safely.
I left Twitter because of this.
But yeah, I really hope the Fuzzy Butt 1 goes well.
I get it.
Yeah, and so while we're talking in space news, just a little bit more talk. The James Webb Telescope. Here's your JWT update. James Webb Telescope was properly deployed and is all set up. We just need to wait a bit more for it to get back in position. It should be able to start taking photos, I believe, January 28th.
Okay, that's not far away.
That's not far, but that's if everything goes well, and that's also if I'm remembering my dates right.
Yeah, fair.
So I'm very terrible with dates, is why I did terrible in history. But were you gonna make the same joke?
No.
Okay. I do know the moon landing, 1969.
Nice.
I just don't remember what day. December 21st?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, I'm gonna look it up real quickly. But while I look it up, I could really go for an apple right about now.
Oh, because
Ah,
Safari. So if you do keep up with tech news, you've probably heard about this because everyone's talking about it.
Hey, I just want to say I have official time and date.
Okay.
They landed June 20th, 1969 at 8:17 UTC.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So, Safari, somebody screwed up. Somebody is one of the developers of Safari 15.
I have a question.
What?
What is Safari?
The web browser for Apple.
Some people just may not know.
Okay, yeah, it's the web browser that Apple develops and uses on iPhone and Mac, iOS and Mac OS, and iPad OS, which is iOS. But anyway,
Any iOS, any Apple OS.
maybe not Watch OS. I don't know.
Actually,
There's a
WatchOS
web.
does have Safari.
Anyway,
Don't worry about
I
it.
believe you.
They have to use it for like looking up stuff. The Siri.
Okay, that makes sense.
But
so,
I don't think you can like go and search.
basically, they implement a API called, an API for a service called IndexedDB. I don't know what it's for, but regardless, it implements an API for it, which IndexedDB abides by the same origin policy, which restricts one origin from interacting with data that was collected on other origins. So say you're in one tab and you open up your email and then you open up hacker.com where there's a bunch of hackers waiting to get your data. Because they're coming there because the traffic that you are generating is from different origins, then it'll keep it partitioned. It'll keep that data segregated. Apple did a stupid. Fingerprint.js, which is a what are they exactly? Fingerprint.js, which is a browser fingerprint and fraud detection service, found that Apple's application of the IndexedDB API in Safari 15 will violate that same origin policy. Get this! When a website interacts with a database in Safari, Fingerprint.js says that a new empty database with the same name is created in all other active frames, tabs, and windows within the same browser session. This means that other websites can see the names of other databases created on other sites, which could contain details specific to your identity. That, if I understand that correctly, that means that the name of the database could include sensitive information, such as your Google account, all generated databases with your unique Google user ID in its name. Your Google user ID allows Google to access your publicly available information, such as your profile picture, which a Safari bug can expose to other websites. And guess what you can do about it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yep.
At least on iOS. On macOS, you can use a different browser. But
Firefox.
On iOS, if I understand correctly, which I didn't do too much digging into this because it was only mentioned in the article, on iOS, all browsers use the Safari web engine. So Chrome, Firefox have their own basically shell. I don't know the details, honestly, of how web browsers work. But it has its own features, its own implementations, but it's using the same web engine, which is Safari, which has the bug. So if you're on iOS,
Don't.
sorry.
Just don't.
And keep in mind that you're not just using the Safari web engine when you're using Safari. It's also like built-in Especially in nowadays where a lot of apps are just shells that access a website. It's just a shell for a website. Then that's using Safari and using that web engine, which has this vulnerability. So
Just don't
you can't get a virus on a Mac.
stop. That always ticks me off whenever people say you can't get a virus on a Mac. Yes, you can. It is very possible for you to get a virus on a Mac.
It's harder on Linux. Not impossible, but harder.
I disagree. I think it's the same amount. It's just people that use Linux are more technologically savvy compared to other people.
No, it's that it's not targeted as much, so there is less of a pool. Like, if you're just reaching into a bag of software and pulling out a thing, and the bag has viruses and regular
Worms.
software, as viruses and regular software, if you're reaching into the bag for a Linux, there's just less virus things to choose from. Whereas for Windows, the bag in general is bigger, but a greater portion of them, a greater number, I don't know about the portion, but I would wager yes, a greater number of the things in that bag are viruses, because it's a lot easier to, I mean, threat actors are going to go for the easy targets.
Yeah.
That's why the grandparent scam is a thing. That sort of idea of, if they're going to write some sort of malware, they're going to write it for they're going to save their effort and not write it for every operating system, especially every Linux distribution. They're going to write it for, most people are using Windows on the desktop. It's a lot easier just to write that and cast it into the bag.
I reached into the bag and I pulled out Netscape. Do you know what Netscape is?
Not really, no.
Oh my gosh. Netscape is Internet Explorer before Internet Explorer.
Okay, I do know that.
Yeah.
I've never used it, but
that is a date. Oh my gosh. I did. But hey, while we're talking about Apple, my other tech article I brought up is also Apple related. So
wow, what else did they do?
Wow. That sounded like the Crash Bandicoot. Wow.
Whoa. I love that video.
Oh no. One of these
whoa.
One of these podcasts is just gonna be us watching memes.
Meme review.
That's gonna be a 0.5 episode. It's like
on one of the every others.
Yeah, and instead of like a week we're supposed to have it, we're gonna just like episode 8.5. We watch memes together. Right. The other podcast. Can I rewind? The other article I found was Apple faces class action lawsuit over the Power Beats Pro charging issue. I'll be honest, I have never heard of the Power Beats.
I've heard of them.
I didn't even know that they existed. But someone living in the wonderful, amazing NYC filed a class action lawsuit over allegations for the Power Beats Pro. The design defects make it where the earbuds don't charge properly. But you're probably wondering, Ethan, what do you mean? The case that they go into does not set in properly. To get it in, you actually have to wedge it in and force it in, which is not how they advertised it. On top of that, it's very quick to drain, which could be because of the faulty contact. Thirdly, this is considered fraud by misrepresenting battery life and failing to address the issues. Thirdly, the other issue is whenever you put it in, I don't know about you, but like it gets sweaty. Mm-hmm. And it actually corrodes the charging points. When they advertised, it doesn't. So they have to, it's class action, so they have to act on it. They have to go through and fix these things. And they have to compensate the affected users. It would cover people that live in New York, Georgia, Michigan, Montana, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, South Dakota, and Virginia. I do not know why those specific states.
Why wouldn't it cover everyone?
I don't know, but we've asked. It says the article. We've asked Apple for comment. They declined to comment.
Of course.
But yeah, so it's not completely sure that the case will even go through, but Apple is 100% in the wrong here, and they know that they're in the wrong. So this has been filed, but it won't be going through unless more people start bringing it up. So it's yeah, in a very polite term, screw Apple. They have their benefits, but those benefits by now are just no longer outweighing.
You are a lot more harsh on Apple than I am. I don't love them, but I think as far as tech companies go, they're all right.
So one reason I don't like them is recently in Europe, a law was passed where all devices have to be charged with USB-C. So now Apple has mentioned and rumored that they're going to start releasing their latest iPhones with no charging port, just to combat this.
That's been rumored for a while, though, even before this law.
Yeah, but this law means that their iPhones have to be released with a USB-C charging port, or not at all.
I'd be curious to see if that is legal under the law, because I feel like if it charges, it has to. Do you know of any earbuds off the top of your head that don't have a charging port, that they only charge through wireless?
That's what I was trying to think about, and I can't think of any device that is portable and doesn't either use batteries or has a plug-in
Apple Watch.
option. Right, my Samsung Watch, it's wireless, but the jack that it plugs into is USB-C.
Yeah, but that's not on the device. That doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. And so
it is. I suppose it would be legal to release a device that doesn't have a charging port, that only charges wirelessly. I would hate that, and you probably would too, as a consumer, because wireless charging isn't great. It generates too much heat for your battery, which heat is bad for your battery, and also it's slow. I don't like it. I don't see the appeal.
So you're gonna hate me. I'm actually using it right now on my phone. It's directly in front of me.
It's nice if you just want to plop down for a few minutes, but if you're charging like overnight, do not charge your phone wirelessly overnight.
So what I do is I put mine on my computer. Like I sit on my computer and I set my phone on top of my computer and then put the wireless charger on top of that, and then I actually sit on top of it. I messed up what I was saying. So I sat down at my computer, and I have it like it's the little circle
on your wireless charger.
Yes.
Okay.
And so then I got the power. So dumb. But yeah, so I set it down, and then I put my phone down, and I leave it there for a little bit, like maybe 5 minutes, and then I'll pick it up and I'll start looking at it, and I go through it, and I set it back down. And sometimes it doesn't even start charging, and I'm okay with that, because there was one time I let it charge from nothing to 100. That thing was gone. It was. And so, like, I love the concept, and part of the issue probably was my case. Cases do not help, but it's so hard and so cumbersome to take off my case. So it's great, it's wonderful, but it needs work.
Yeah. In fact, the phone I got, the Asus Zenfone 8, I got that just a few months ago. It doesn't even have wireless charging, and I don't care, because A, it has a headphone jack.
Does it have an SD card slot?
It does, micro SD, and dual SIM.
I actually don't know if my phone does dual SIM.
I know my last one didn't.
Yes,
yeah. I am very happy with it. And it's less than the stupid Samsung and iPhones that are $1,000. I'm not paying $1,000 for a phone. I'm not.
I got really lucky with mine. Mine. I got like a Samsung Galaxy 20 FE Fan Edition, and
that's a good phone from what I hear. I am not a massive fan of Samsung, but
so what the FE is Samsung reaches out to random people and say, hey, what do you like, what do you don't like, let us know. And they take it, they compile it, and that becomes the FE. It's why the FE has...
I mean, this is the first year they've done it, though. The first time that they've done it, right?
Technically...
I don't think they've released fan editions of anything else.
Technically, it's been going... it's still an older concept. Because the Samsung Galaxy Tab 6 had an FE edition.
Oh, really? I mean... I don't think it's an uncontroversial opinion to say. I don't think it's a controversial opinion to say, for the most part, that's how things should be designed.
Yeah,
Figure out what people want and give people what they want. Like, how is that not an easy way to make money?
I'm going to slightly disagree with that because if it weren't for big leaps and big changes, some things never would come through, like the Nintendo Switch.
That's why I said for the most part, because yes, innovation does need to happen.
Yeah.
And as I think Steve Jobs once put it, people don't know what they want until they see it, which,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
in many ways, yeah.
I agree with that.
But at the same time, there should, I mean, I really liked the way LG did it before they stopped making phones, rest in peace. They had their V line, which was more top of the line, but far more experimental. I mean, the V10, their first iteration of the V line, had two screens. It had a screen, and then this is before like full screen phones. It had the normal screen, and then at the top it had a secondary screen, which was OLED. Which I believe this is even before OLED was like big in smartphones, and that was where you could have, and it was capacitive, so you could touch and use it. You could have like quick contacts, quick apps. You can just have always on the time before always on the main screen was a thing, and that was great.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what else they experimented with, but their V line was always more experimental. Aside from the G5, but we don't talk about the G5. No one else does, so why should I? But yeah, then their G line was a bit more watered down, but a bit more traditional. So I think that's an excellent model of experiment and, I mean, charge people the early adopter tax, that sort of thing. But aside from that, your main line should be what the people want, what they say they want.
Samsung, I think, is starting to go that way. Where
I mean, I guess with the fold and flip, which what's
need
your
work.
opinion? Because
they
folding
need work. I don't want to give it too much more thought. Besides, it needs work.
I mean, to me, even for the last like 4 years, phones to me have been so boring because 5G and folding displays are all the rage, and neither of those interest me in the slightest.
I mean,
my 4G is fine. I have no problem with it. I don't have a problem with 5G, and I know it's going to happen. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't care if my phone supports 5G. It does, but
dual SIM.
I have it off because it saves battery, and 4G is more than fine for me.
I will say 5G has helped me out a lot, just because so sometimes I've turned off 5G and 4G is slow enough that by the time I need it, it's gone.
I have occasionally had moments where 4G is kind of slow, but I'm also honestly on a budget network, so.
But yeah, all I'm gonna say about the fold and flip is good concept. Execution needs work.
I do kind of like the idea of the fold, of the bigger one. But even then, I don't work mobily. It's for example, to me, it's a weird idea that people consume most of their YouTube and Twitch and whatnot on their phones.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I don't get that. I don't have a problem with it. I just no.
Like you and me, we're IT guys. You know, I have a custom built computer. I think you do too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna want to use that, but like you also have to realize that means we connect with other people like us.
Yes, and to extend what you're saying of the custom PC, it's also a lot less common than I think of people just not having a PC.
Yeah.
All they have is a laptop, or all they even have is a phone. I think most people probably have a laptop, but it's weird to me like that people don't even have like a family shared desktop. That's
going
so
away.
Weird to me.
Yeah, it is going away.
I want a workstation. I want multiple monitors. I want my keyboard, and I want a system that can actually do things. So not a laptop.
A little fun fact here. Whenever I moved, I actually donated my secondary monitor to Abby, or no, to Caden, my old roommate. And then I could not handle only having one monitor.
Oh no, I could never work with just one monitor.
I had to go back to having two. I had my TV plugged in with a long HDMI cord, and to see it, I had to do this. And so it like I had to lean really far back because like I was in a dip in the wall, and the TV was on the wall itself.
Yeah.
And so I had to like lean real far back. But yeah, like I had this conversation with someone recently who said, you know, they always play on a gaming laptop. I'm sorry, gaming laptops do not exist. No matter what you say,
They can be good.
No,
They don't compare to desktop unless you have an external GPU, which is something to consider.
I'm sorry, but gaming laptops are not a real thing. They're overhyped laptops that are not worth it. They're like
I have another laptop related hot take. If you don't have a numpad on your laptop, don't sell it.
Yes, I am with you 100%. I will stand by. I got 3 used keyboards for cheap, and I open up all 3, and I'm like, I really like this one. I'm sitting there using it, and then I go to touch the numpad. No numpad, and I'm instantly.
And I know
no,
this is really
I'm
niche.
out.
I know most people don't need a numpad, but as a network engineer, I'm typing in IPs all day, and as a general nerdy person, just typing in numbers is so much faster on the numpad. But then also using it for more macros, like especially in Blender, you can't use Blender without the numpad.
Yes.
You can, but it just sucks.
Another one that might be even more niche is whenever your numpad, like actual keyboards, not laptop. Laptops, I understand it's hard. But on a keyboard, whenever your numpad is combined with your keys, or your arrow keys. I hate
like
that.
when it's overlaid over
Yes.
like UIO, that sort of thing.
I hate that so much, and it's laid over with the arrow keys and like insert home, page up. I'm looking at the keyboard, page up, page down.
Oh yes, I have those over my
like,
keys on here too.
I don't actually have any keyboards in the house that have that anymore because I hate it. And I know some people love. Caden is an engineer, and he does not need a numpad. And I don't know how he gets by. But like,
see, I love the look of like 60% keyboards. I don't even know if that's the right number.
It
of
is.
like cut down minimalist keyboards. They look great, but I can't work without a numpad.
I think the only way I would ever have it is as a secondary keyboard where I just want to sit down, play a game. All I need is a mouse and a keyboard.
That's something you get for like a media system. It's a remote.
Yes.
It's a Bluetooth where, yeah, I don't need a numpad if all I'm doing is web browsing.
Yeah, or
Which,
like,
granted, that's what most people are doing. Like the fact that most people could just work off a Chromebook and be perfectly fine. I cannot. I had a Chromebook at my last job. No one else in the IT department did, but I was an intern. Other interns had Macs and not Chromebooks, so I don't know why I was discriminated against. But I could. It came by default with a really, really bad text editor that would be really slow when you load it up. If you search, it would be really slow, which is annoying as IT looking through long log files and you have to search. And sometimes it would even crash.
Before
don't give me a Chromebook.
Before I continue too much, hey Abby, I love you. Chromebooks are a scourge on humanity. They are trash, they are garbage, and they deserve to rot. I despise them. They are disgusting.
No.
Yes.
I vehemently disagree.
Why?
I hate them. I will not use them. But they are an excellent budget option that will work for most people. Most people, especially with everything going to web apps, that's all they need. And I am all for low-cost, budget-friendly, entry-level options for people who that's all they can afford. That is important.
A tablet is about the same price as a Chromebook. But a tablet...
You don't get a nice laptop. You don't get a full OS.
It's
not that Chrome OS is.
Chrome OS is not. It is not. It's just like, okay.
And a decent tablet is going to cost more than an entry-level Chromebook. You can get a Chromebook for like $150. You can't get a good tablet for that.
The reason it upsets me so much, though, is so some people are like, I need to use it for schoolwork. But the thing is, schoolwork is going to require you to download applications. To download
Not
applications,
always. See, you and I, our schoolwork is programming. We need to download Python and download C++.
Word.
Most people don't. Most people only work in Word. That's all they need.
That's the thing, though, is to download it on a Chromebook, you have to go through Google Play Store, which is
You don't need to download Word. You can use the web version, which is actually in some ways better than the desktop version.
I will agree with that, but up until recently, it didn't exist. Well, recently-ish.
There's Google Docs has been around for a while. Google Docs is perfectly good.
Google Docs is great, but the annoying thing is if you're on what is seen as a mobile client, which is what the Chrome OS is, it prompts you.
I don't think it is. I think that's false.
We have tested this on Abby's Chromebook.
Is it up to date?
Knowing Abby, probably not.
It also might be the specific model of Chromebook. I had an Acer Chromebook specifically, and I just want to complain for a second. I opened it up first time, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look so bad. I've never used a Chromebook. It's probably fine. I'm sure I want something better, but it's good enough. And I see this nice, big, nice looking, nice enough feeling trackpad. That is the worst goddamn trackpad I've ever used. It is abysmal. I don't know if it's Acer's fault or if it's Chrome OS's fault, but it is so floaty and imprecise, and the turning off pointer acceleration helped, but it's still bad. I don't know how you can make a trackpad that bad.
I also don't like trackpad. Like, I mean, I can understand.
MacBooks do it right, though.
I've never used a MacBook trackpad.
I'm not saying I prefer it to a mouse.
No, mouse is superior.
But gestures are nice.
They have
and
gestures.
Having a nice big trackpad, and especially Apple's, I don't know what exactly they call it, but it's basically their Force Touch on the trackpads, is so cool. You can click anywhere just by pressing down, and of course it's like the home button on the 7, where it doesn't actually press in, but it feels like it's pressing in. And not only that, you can double press, so you press, and if you press harder, it feels like you're pressing even further. It's done so well. Apple's haptics are so good.
I did not know that.
But yes, it's nice to use a Apple trackpad. Not like this crappy little thing. You got tiny little trackpads.
No, anytime I use my school laptop, it's my personal laptop, but I use it for school stuff. I have a USB mouse in my bag. Yeah, exactly. Wait, hold on. What kind of mouse is that?
The same one, but less gay.
Come on, man. Purple's a cool color. I like it.
Purple is a cool color.
You're wearing a purple shirt, you nerd.
Yeah, it's your purple shirt.
I'm wearing a shirt, I promise. Hold on. It's my Pokemon shirt. You can't see it very well.
No, I really can't. Thanks for sharing, though.
I just want people to know I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt. Okay, I think we've ranted long enough about technology.
Pretty much, yeah.
But hey, before we go, I actually do want to do some kind of neat that I've been trying to do, and I always forget. There's a website called onthisday.com that tells you some interesting things that have happened on this day in history. And I wanted to mention, today, in 1938, the first jazz concert was held at Carnegie Hall.
I played there once.
In 1938?
No, at Carnegie Hall.
Also, another interesting things, 1920, the first assembly of the League of Nations was held in Paris. Oh.
Very effective.
In 1547, Ivan IV the Terrible, he crowned himself as the first Tsar of Moscow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, internet, are we friends yet?
I was going to ask the internet a question.
I beat you to it.
That was not the question I was going to ask.
I don't believe you, but say it anyway.
Internet, What is your least favorite thing about technology? And
How
now
are we supposed to get responses? The Discord, I guess.
we'll take on the Discord. Like I said, we upload this live to my YouTube. You can you can email us at skyhaler2@paypal.com. That was a joke. But yeah, seriously,
Why is Steam opening? Go away.
we're gonna play a Steam game now. No, just like
Steam. Oh. Okay.
we're in a Discord. You can tell us in the Discord or tell us in YouTube comments or just yell it really loud and maybe we'll hear it. Okay, Ben.
Carrier pigeon is also accepted, but
We have a
make
PO
sure they're
box.
white.
We don't actually. Make sure they're because it's a dove.
Yeah, that'll do.
Ethan's fun fact of the day: pigeons and doves are the same breed.
Are they?
I don't know. I just made that up off the top of my head.
I didn't think so.
If only we had someone who's really good with birds. Hey, Abby, my love. Is it true that pigeons and doves are the same breed? Or same bird?
Kind of. I think they're like
Kind of.
trying to remember which one's which. I think I know what a pigeon and I know what a dove is, but I'm trying to remember if doves are a type of pigeon or if pigeons are a type of dove.
But they are the same thing in the end.
Pretty much.
Okay, so they are actually the same thing. It's just one is a type of
Today I
another.
learned.
Yep. So either a pigeon is a type of dove or a dove is a type of pigeon. But all right, with that, Ben, you can ask the question now.
Since I haven't gotten an answer yet, I thought I'd ask again. Internet, are we friends yet?
Bye,
Have a
everybody.
good night, everyone.
Wait, what was that?
Have a good night, everyone.
Pigeons or doves? Have a great night, everybody.